brought an apple today. I brought an apple because this apple is one of the most important foods at this time of year. And it is, in case you didn't know, the word Mabon is connected to the word apple. Mal, meaning apple, is part of a word of Mal is the apple, or May is the apple. And Bon means good. Mabon meaning good apple. So, an apple. And there's so many variations of apples. There are apparently between 7,000 and 30,000, but there is every color of apple you can possibly imagine too, and they all taste a little different. We have some, regulars that have been hybrid in our stores now, but there are some very special apples around the whole world, and every country has a different type of apple. So this one here is from trees right here on my property, and I'm not even sure what it is, but it's wonderful. And here are some others from other trees. Look how little these ones are. And I heard that one of the smallest apples in Italy, it's called a Nurka. And I believe it is one of the oldest apples in the world that still exists. And it has little tiny apples that are super, super tasty. And I wonder if this is what it is. I'm not an apple expert, but I can tell you this. When you cut an apple, if you cut it this way, instead of this way, if you cut it this way, like this, something wonderful shows up. Yes, stars. And this is the 5-pointed star that we call the pentagram. And this is the pentagram here that I'm wearing on my neck. Yes. And, each of them taste differently, and each one being enriched with a star is one of the reasons why it's the witch's favorite fruit. Okay? And eating apples at this time, you can almost say prayers. You can say prayers to the apple, like in cutting this apple, my thoughts were how delighted I was to be able to show you this, especially if you didn't know. See, Desiree didn't know. And so it's important to understand why the apple has been such a sacred fruit for so many years, really thousands and thousands of years. And there's so many stories written about the apple, right? Nature's pentagram. Really, really important to honor the apple at this time of year. And we see a lot of people eating apple pies and apple crisps, and that's exactly what we should be eating at this time of year. There's lots of apple foods. Okay, apple sauces. So sweet. And they say the best apple is the one that had a night of frost. So a night of frost means that the apple will become sweeter, because as it gets really cold, it sort of ripens everything and makes it ready to pick. Right on. That's a really good thing you can do, Kayla, for children, especially teaching children these kinds of things is really important. And there's lots of art and crafts that have been made around the apple. Yep, so the apple trees will be ready, Sherry. Right? So eating the apple. And with every bite, you can wish upon a star. So, one of the big things that we should do at this time of year is to wish for other people, to pray for others, to put out that energy for others, to put out the effort for others, to help others who are not ready for winter to get ready. Every bite you take, you can say a prayer in your mind, a wish. You can spell it out in paper too. You can spell it out on paper. That's what a spell is when people cast spells. It's just you sitting down with your thoughts. What is it you want? Writing it down. And then sitting down at your altar and burning it, saying it out loud and then burning it. And in fact, this time of year, we're supposed to be letting go of all the things that aren't healthy or aren't good for us, setting new stages and balancing everything out. We're supposed to be helping other people get there too, especially the elders. When the elders can't do it on their own, they have the threat of not living through the winter is there. So you helping an elder person is really important, whoever they may be, getting them ready, bringing them food, bringing them apples, bringing them things. You know, the first thing that was given to me when I came to this property, I bought this property in 2021. And again, when I first came here, and I was talking to one of the ladies on the street, and she was standing outside her apple tree, and I said to her, those apples look so delicious. She plucked one out and she gave it to me. So the very first thing I was given here was an apple. You know, it made me think of how Eve was given an apple, and, you know, from the tree of good and evil. And that got her into a lot of trouble. I'm pretty sure that's exactly why witches love apples too, because, you know, they're kind of like looking at it and they're not doing anything wrong. We're not doing nothing wrong. We're doing good things, and we're aligning with nature and aligning with the mother and loving her and helping others. And, you know, I'm not asking you to be a good witch. I'm asking you to be a witch. And what do witches do is they care for their people. You know, yeah, I've heard a lot of witch wars out there, don't get me wrong, but those are just as bad as anyone with mental health issues. You know, witches have mental health issues too. But a true, solid, together, stable witch is working towards uplifting one another. That's what it's all about. Right? And so this is a good time for you to put that good energy out there for others. And, you know, cleaning your house, that's another good thing. Is sort of fall cleaning. Get everything sparkling clean. You could, you know, cleanse all your floors and cleanse your dusting and all of that stuff. Getting ready to batten down the hatches, to shut those windows and get ready for winter, a winter long, right? No matter where you're living, you're going to experience some sort of weather change. Even in the Caribbean, it starts to rain. You know, so your windows are closed more. It's a little cooler at night and stuff like that. So, you know, the other thing I want to point out is if you are picking your apples or buying apples, especially if you're picking them and you have trees with them, don't be upset if you're leaving behind apples, because there are animals out there who are going to eat them. Yes, if you're beside a bear and cougar area, you should probably clean up your apples and your fruit. But otherwise, there'll be all kinds of smaller animals coming along and having a bite, and insects will enjoy them, and the earth will love them, and you'll be definitely replenishing the nutrients to the earth. You know, apple is really about love and beauty, but it's also about death. It's also, you can hex with it, but it's really to bring in love. It's really to bring in beauty. But, you know, think of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. If I remember correctly, she ate the queen, her stepmother's apple, who poisoned it. And this is also something that has happened at Halloween or Samhain when children are receiving apples. You have to be really careful, because Eve is another story exactly. And the Adam and Eve story, I mean, that one got us into trouble right from the get-go. You know, she was told by the snake to eat the apple to bring and in the end, I think it's kind of interesting that Eve doesn't have an Adam's apple in her throat, but Adam does. Maybe they got the story wrong. What do you think? Right? I don't know. I thought about that before. I mean, why does Adam have an Adam's apple? I think that's the one that got caught in his throat and nobody ever realized he was the one who was doing it, not her. Sort of like your nose growing if you lie. You get stuck with the apple in your throat if you lie. And the seeds, of course, are cyanide. Exactly. Exactly, Jen. And if you use those seeds in your baneful magic, you can achieve some things that you need. Like putting an end to things. Stopping people from gossiping. That's a good one. Stopping people from trying to break up you and your lover. It's another time you can use it. Especially when it comes to love, right? Anything to do with love. Jealousy, envy. Anything like that. Breaking spells. That kind of thing.